Hey NH students, welcome to Life Group Week 2. I am so glad that you are here. And in case you don't know me, I'm Pastor Alex, and I'm the junior high pastor over at the Alvin campus. Also, if you do know me, my voice doesn't usually sound like this. I just lost my voice, so just bear with me as we go through this. It's gonna be a great time, and I'm super excited to teach you. So, before we even get started, I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things. We have Revive coming up, and if you don't know anything about it or are too nervous about it, come talk to one of our pastors. We would love to have you there and walking alongside us as we learn about God and in community. And don't just hear me and think, I'm not going, or I've heard this 1,000 times. Don't write this off. Don't just make the decision right now. Revive could be your first step of many to having a deeper relationship with God, and in a community of like-minded believers, it could be something awesome. Now, the second thing I want to talk to you about as we get started is the take-home challenge and the memory verse. We really want you guys to participate with these and show us pastors what you've been learning. We work pretty hard on these, and we really want you guys to be a part of it. It is super encouraging to us when we see that our teaching and work leads to you knowing Jesus better. If you've been participating, don't just sit on it. Come recite Psalm 100, 1-3 to us, or show us that you've been working on the take-home challenge, or both. If you haven't been participating, it is not too late. It's only week 2. You got 2 more weeks. Start today. Then come show us next week when we see you. Now, for Life Groups, this semester of Life Groups, we are learning about worship and prayer, how to connect to God through this. And one thing we want to tell you this semester is we are all created to have a relationship with God. Communication through prayer and worship is essential for connection with Him and deepening that relationship. Now, Pastor Nick talked to you guys about worshiping in song and the true heart behind why we do it and how our mind should be focused on Him in worship. I am here to give you guys almost a part 2 because I know how much you guys love worship. And so today, though we're not talking about worship through song, worship is so much more than song, so we are tackling what worship is in our daily lives and how we're supposed to connect with God that way. Now, you wouldn't just eat once a week. So let me ask you, why would you expect spiritual nourishment if you only worship in 20 minutes of 1 hour in one day if you decide to go to church this week, if it's not raining or cold or you don't want to sleep in, right? That's just silly. And worship is how we live our daily lives, and our daily worship is putting God above all else every single day. Romans 12:1 actually says, "Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship." This verse calls us to offer our bodies as a living sacrifice. The same body that causes us to sin, we are also called in the same body to submit it and give it to the Lord in everything that we do. And this is what true worship looks like. We are called to submit ourselves, which sometimes calls for getting away from the things that don't matter, and it calls for us to align with God. That leads me to my first point for you guys today, is daily worship is aligning your hearts with God. Now, some of you have never seen the word aligning, and some of you have seen it and just ignored it, but I'm gonna tell you what it means today. Aligning means come together in agreement. It's as simple as that. When we're unaligned, it looks a little something like this video right here. Now, obviously those tires were not in agreement with where the truck wanted to go. The tires were moving it forward, but the truck was pointed somewhere else entirely. When a car's tires are misaligned, it causes the steering to be hard, and you have to fight the steering wheel back to keep going straight. So honestly, that driving was pretty impressive. Braking is also harder. It doesn't work right. Your fuel efficiency goes down, and when you're in a truck, it's just significantly worse. You're like 2 miles per gallon, you're going nowhere. Right, and the truck has to work even harder. It also tears up the tires and suspension. This is terrible for the truck. And this isn't a way for us to live. And you can't do misalignment forever. The longer the truck is misaligned, the worse the damage is. So what do you think happens to us when we are misaligned? This is what our hearts are like, misaligned with God. Life might keep moving forward, but it's a struggle. Misalignment makes it harder to make decisions. We feel drained spiritually and emotionally, and we experience this wear and tear spiritually. When the truck is aligned, it makes it easier to steer, and you can rest easy knowing you're going the right direction. You can trust knowing that you're going the right direction. When our hearts are aligned with God, we can relax, knowing that we are following the directions the Lord has for us. Alignment will make the journey better in every single way. So what does alignment look like for my heart? Well, how do I get aligned with the Lord? Well, our daily worship is having our heart, our truest intentions, our wants in the same agreement with what God says and what He wants. John 4:23-24 says, "Yet a time is coming and has now come when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For they are the kind of worshipers the Father seeks." God is the Spirit, and His worshipers must worship in the Spirit and in truth in what they want in their heart. Worship to God begins with the intentions of your heart, with what your heart wants. True worship happens in the Spirit and God and in truth. Not just going through the motions, not just raising your hands and doing whatever, but let me tell you something. Let me tell you something you may not want to hear. Is true worship usually happens alone. I think that's something that we struggle with. But it's not usually in front of others, and it's usually not loudly, but alone. When our hearts and our intentions are worshiping Jesus for our relationship with Him, you don't need to show off. You don't need to show off to others that you're bold because you raise your hands in worship. When your heart is truly aligned, you will seek worship in everyday life, everywhere. Your perspective will start to change and you will see how you can glorify God in everything. Romans 12:2 says to us, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." When you are aligned with God and there is renewal of your mind, you are able to start doing this and seeing what God has in store for you. As you submit your body in sacrifice, spirit and truth start to change you from the inside, and your mind and heart change to align with God's will, and this is your worshiping God. For my more solid thinkers who need physical steps to do this, let me tell you, I understand. I'm one of those people. I need to do things with my hands. I need to understand actual steps. So let's go into this a little deeper. So let me give you some more application to worshiping God daily so we can start aligning our hearts with His today, not tomorrow, not the next day. Today we're going to start. So my point 2 is daily worship is obedience, a word that you guys are all very scared of. I completely understand. Daily worship is obedience. Worship isn't just that feeling that we get when the music gets big and the lyrics are just, they're hitting and the lights are going on and everyone's jumping. It's also not an obvious feeling most of the time. I'm going to say that one more time. It is also not an obvious feeling most of the time. It's not just goosebumps that you get and you're like, that direction. We don't know. That's not how that works, right? But that's why obedience in the Word is so important. We struggle when something doesn't make us feel good immediately. If I don't get instant gratification, if I don't get something out of this immediately right here and now, I'm done with it. That's where we're at right now as a society. But let me tell you something different that the Bible has for us. Worshiping God is about our obedience, even in boring downtimes or busy uptimes of our lives. Part of daily worship is choosing obedience. John 14:21a, the first part of it says, "Whoever has my commands and keeps them is the one who loves me." And that one's pretty obvious, that one's pretty forward thinking, but when we choose obedience to God, it brings us closer to Him and shows that we trust His plan and honor Him. Obedience turns everyday action into worship to our Lord. By obedience in every day, I mean doing the right thing, being kind when it's hard, even to our siblings. I know, I get it. It means resisting temptation as well. Obedience every day, and I mean every single day, also looks like making time for the Lord in my life. It means prioritizing my time to read my Bible. It means prioritizing my time to pray, and it means putting God above all else every day. Every day. Daily worship isn't about being perfect. I think we also get caught up on that. It is about aligning your heart with God and choosing obedience every day in big and small moments. It's a process. And we have to understand that all of these things, that's what makes our lives a living sacrifice to the Lord. And that's what brings us to daily worship. Guys, I'm so excited that I got to teach you today. And I pray that you guys have a great time as you're going into your groups. Open up, Don't be closed off. I love you guys. I will see you this upcoming week. And if you're at any of our other campuses, your pastors will see you and they are super excited to see you. Bye.